in the world of disabilities, it's more obvious that we do this, that we make these exceptions. But I don't see maybe calling oneself a secular humanist and saying maybe the act of saying something like that would be a story that is maybe not true. Like everyone is the same, but I see. Here's how I see this. This could be compatible with seeing everything as it is, right? That it's not that I think. So maybe a wheelchair being the quintessential like person that can't do something that most people can do. If a person can't use their legs, there are certain things that they cannot do that require legs specifically, right? But the value of creating a world that person wants to live in is speaks to a larger truth, which is that none of us chose our circumstances. So if the real, I don't know, the baseline truth is that I didn't choose to be a guy who can use his legs. And this person, if they were able to, would probably choose to use their legs, or you could ask them and then they could confirm or deny that truth. And the fact that none of us chose to have a chromosomal disorder, to have Down syndrome, to have, whatever the case may be, we are trying to create a world where we don't start making exceptions for what type of human life is valuable. Where if I start to say, okay, if your IQ is under 50, you don't have a place on this earth, and then we're in Sparta, and now it's cutthroat, and then the slippery slope and stuff like that.
Is what you're saying humanism, or is it going against? Like what is? Well,
this is where the rubber meets the road. When people like secular humanism is like the response to a religious value of humans as individuals. Like so religion could come up with a story very quickly about God made us all and he wanted us to be this way and blah blah blah. So you have a story, right? Secular meaning non-religious, and humanism meaning focused on the well-being and experience of humans needs a story as to. So someone might say, okay, well, we ditched God. Now I want to treat people as though they were valuable. How do I account for that? How do I describe that? And it's taken on its own story where all people are unique and valuable in the same way. When it's very easy to find a situation where one person might be more valuable than another. Yeah. If you talk about like drafting in the NBA, right? I am not as valuable. I am way less valuable than anyone that's on the court right now. Even the third string guy on the bench he's going to kick my ass in one-on-one every single time, all the time, right? And I'm okay with that, and I don't need it to be the case that I'm as valuable as him. But if the whole world were the NBA, what would you do with the third stringers? What would you do with the 10th stringers? Okay. What would you do with me? And you need some reason that everyone gets a good life, or that we provision X amount so that everyone can have an equally good life. But I think people are very aware of this. It's this compartmentalizing in different places. If you go to like a disability department on a college campus, people are very understanding and people are very accommodating. And I work with the deaf, right? It's very obvious to me that deaf people need certain attention and they need interpreters. Yeah. And with an interpreter, they can do everything that I can do. Yeah. So it's not a problem that somebody needs an interpreter if everyone's signed, but not everyone signs.
So I have a couple of questions, just like I don't know if it's not really pushing back, but it's just kind of, I think this is important because I know that there's probably people that are with the alt-right crowd that can use that argument to start to like try to make their group seem superior than other people's group, IQ, whatever, all this stuff. So I'm just curious where is like, what is the question or the line that you draw with every person is valuable? Like where, like how would you argue against someone who's alt-right saying,
I'm not interested in, okay. So first of all, the any group identity that you did not choose can become a problem very quickly when you're trying to cooperate. So if you and me have a common goal at all, we don't need a reason. We'll do that goal. We'll do that thing, So even the most sinister alt-right, even if the alt-right says we are smarter and more physically capable and more XYZ, fill in the blank, right? Innovative, or whatever, that is all. They're assuming that those are good things because of what you can do with those qualities. But that might not be what anyone is interested in. They might be in a league of their own, and everyone else says, oh, well, the kinds of experiences I'm interested in have nothing to do with being better than someone at that. It's about, let's say, suffering less, right? So if my child has Down syndrome, for example, and by definition has a lower IQ than the general public, the joy or the satisfaction of being with that person, or the joy and satisfaction that person can derive out of life, will have to not involve their IQ. It'll just be a different task. So I don't say. So this is why people are vegans and vegetarians, right? They're not saying, well, a beaver isn't as smart as me, so I'll eat it, right? Or possums are smarter than other rodents, so I like it. Or like sloths are even more like splitting hairs. It just there's no reason for that, right? Yeah. We just go, look, generally speaking, a cow didn't choose to be a cow and a horse did not choose to be a horse, but we understand that you can suffer nonetheless. And so in what ways do we each suffer? Yeah. So again, forgive me if years of meditation and therapy have completely fried this neural circuitry in my brain. But the competitive aspect of this group over this group doesn't, or pride, in your skin color or where you were born or something like that. Again, forgive me if I'm missing something. Maybe someone can fill me in. I thought the idea was to move away from those kinds of differences. I thought the idea was not to emphasize what we did not choose about ourselves, and to be cool with that, and to, again, if we're seeing the world as it is, to just acknowledge, oh wow, you came from this, ancestry or this long line of genetic reproduction. And anyway, can we get back to life right now and get back to enjoying ourselves and connecting and stuff? So I'm not interested in someone's feats of accomplishments just because they happen to come from, again, their skin color, right? It's just not that consequential when it comes to suffering. Your psychological experience of suffering is what I mean. Well, that's really obviously people. I hope I'm speaking clearly. I'm just kind of going, and other people have said this stuff much more clearly. I think it's important
to go into it like you're going into it, because that's the issue, right? Is people start to try to. I guess the question is, why do people try to put skin color, IQ in certain things above? They try to put those things above, and they use those things as the judgments to, try to make other people feel less valuable, and
sure.
That's it's a deep question, but I think the question that here's a question that I don't know if you guys care to answer or not, but do you think life in general is like intrinsically valuable?
No.
So, okay. What about you?
That's all I have to say.
I don't know. I'm sort of undecided. I think.
What do you have to say about everything he was just saying?
Well, I'm still trying to figure out where any of that comes from an objective scientific perspective. It's not subjective and imagined.
If you can suffer and you think that's a bad thing, then you have a value system. You have ethics.
So, but then that
short of that, you don't.
It's just
a rock on planet Mars has no ethical demands.
But it's just relative to each individual, is what you're saying. There is no meta-ethical claim. There's no overarching like.
Oh no! I mean, it's all subjective to me. Well, so I don't remember the name of this short story, but there's a village or a town of people who are just enjoying themselves and partying and short story even shorter. There is a young child of this town or village, I don't remember, who is in a basement somewhere suffering endlessly, so that for some cosmic reason, I forgot the reason in the story, but that this person bears all of the suffering for their community in order that they have this 100% perfectly enjoyable life. In that world, the ethical demand, that's a very utilitarian, it's kind of an argument against utilitarianism, because then the reader notices this person and you go, oh, you need to solve this problem. Why is this person suffering so much? And so that would become the paramount ethical issue on hand. So insofar as people can be in true states of misery, you want to get away from that. And if you do, in fact, then you have ethics. And ethics to me is also just kind of a word that we made up. Morality or ethics is it just is the process of figuring out how to suffer less, and whatever that means. Whether uploading consciousness into simulations and just living there for the rest of eternity, or and everything in that bag, including meaning,
like that's where things
blah
are
blah
heading.
blah. Yeah, maybe, I don't know, but so regarding delusion or seeing things as they are, that I would never dispute that someone can be momentarily satisfied by a story or something, because we all do it. We all would like to think that we're really good people and we make really great decisions, really informed and really thoughtful, and yet we all do stupid things, and we interpret them as being less stupid than they are and stuff like that. So it's not that we need to become perfect scientists all the time and scrutinize each other. There would be more and less honest ways of coming to terms with the world that we do live in. But I said this last time I was here, just the delusional part is just a vulnerability to me. That's not to say people aren't born and then they die living under a complete delusion that maybe did something for them. I would have no way of knowing that unless I was that person. So my kind of like follow-up question would be, I wonder what that person's life would be like if they truly had access to the way the world was, or if they made a different effort. Like it doesn't even have to be superficial stuff like skin color. I mean, it could be sports teams. Like one thing is, oh, I can't believe you're a Dodgers fan, you should be a Giants fan. Another thing is, I can't believe you're even a fan of baseball. And another one is, I can't believe you care about sports. And you can you could go backward. I'm not advocating that people just stop watching sports, but in a way, you wonder how much of it do you really need at the end of the day? Like, what if you needed less? Kind of like the having fewer opinions thing. It's not like have a stronger opinion about something else,
right?
Or you have this opinion and now you just make it this opposite one. Yeah. What if you just did less
sometimes
first?
Less is more.
So I'm curious.
Yeah, maybe.
I know you asked him. I'm curious too to get the opinions. But so you don't think? It seems like you don't think that there is a universal ethic. Like you don't think that there is this universal morality,
like a rule or something like that.
Like a way to put it. Like, and I'm don't know. I'm not trying to be like Kathy Newman. Oh, so you're saying? I'm just.
No, yeah.
I'm asking if you believe there's such a thing as like a universal moral code that everyone could, if they had the capability to go by those rules and those ethics, it would help everyone and everyone live a better life. Like a universal overarching.
There might be. I'm going to bring it back to chess. This is very maybe there might be one best move where there might be really truly one way out of something. Like is it Peter Singer that has the drowning child in a shallow pond analogy?
Yeah,
example. It's like, look, if he uses it as this paradigm example where a child drowning in a shallow pond where you can just reach in and save a life, do that. And that might be that might be the best ethical move because it's just that obvious. But like in other times in chess or wherever in life, there might be 1,000 different best moves, and any one of those would be good. And depending on that move, the next move would change. And so no, I don't think that there's one thing all the time that everyone should just be doing. But I think there are certain moves that are pretty good all the time. Okay. Like protect your king, or don't lose your queen, or generally like don't lie. Try not to don't make people in physical pain if it's avoidable. But I'm not a deontologist. I'm not like a no running on the grass ever, no matter what, no matter how late you are to class.
Right.
I couldn't come up with an absolute rule. Yeah.
System.